What you think about, you bring about. You know, the circumstances of life are as such that they leave a lasting impression upon us. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But here's the thing. I'm always reminded about that quote from the good old Bible that most of y'all read. And it talks about, uh, Jesus speaks of forgiveness. Now, everybody think forgiveness is a remedy for when wrong has been committed, and it is. And everybody think you got to be forgiving somebody, and you should. But here's what: most people forget to forgive themselves. Most people forget to forgive themselves for what they've experienced. Your experiences are not supposed to impact you in a way that it negatively affects your performance, but your experiences are supposed to impact you in a way which causes you to develop the core skills and the core characteristics of yourself. In doing so, you will learn and you will face the future with more certainty than if you had not had that experience. But here's what happens. Most people have an experience, they walk with the experience, and they forget the lesson. They walk with the experience and they throw away all of that which they should have learned from that experience. As a result, they think about that which happened to them or happened to others, and it ponders in their mind and becomes their central focus. Whatever becomes your central focus, you bring to yourself. Okay, case in point. Growing up, we didn't have everything that we should have had. Most people didn't. Few will admit it. Because they've allowed that experience to impact them negatively, and they don't even want to ever think about what they went through. They haven't learned anything from it, and you look around and you'll see people experiencing the same, having the same experiences that their parents before them had, where the experience of their parents should have actually been a lesson to themselves of how not to be. Not everything that your parents did you would not want to emulate, but certainly some things you would not want to. Some things you would want to actually move away with, and you just use it as knowledge. So anyway, so most persons, well, not most persons, certainly I speak for myself, grew up having limited resources. And as a child, it made a significant impact. That life made a significant impact upon me. So when I left this little rock and went to live on the, let me dramatize this. I went to live on the London streets paved with gold and all of that stuff. Paved with gold. I don't know. I actually don't think so at all. But anyway, when I went across there to live, what I did, in order to mask my fear of my past, what I did, I would always have in my pocket some money. It would always be about £100 that I would keep in my pocket. This was to reassure me that I was no longer living a menial life. But is that really and truly what makes you? Is that where your security lies? And if your security lies in money, what happens when there's a crash, the economic crash as we're seeing across the world now? So really and truly, it took me years to actually get through that. It took me years. It took me years. I would always have this money in my pocket. That was my security. But you don't need to hang on to so little. Your security can be here. Your ideology that you will not fail, not your backup in case you do. And that's what a lot of people do. They walk around with their backup in case they fail. But if you're thinking in case you fail, you're actually bringing failure to you. It was not until second year university, my economics teacher, he was a nice guy. I didn't like to have too much discussion with him because he had too much to say, and I couldn't say shit when he's speaking. So I thought to myself, avoid this guy. Anyway, one day he stops me, and we're having this discussion. And he says, look here. He puts his hands in his pocket, and he pulls out, and he has coins. He said, this is all I have in my pocket. He said, but does that mean I'm poor? He said, no. He said, I have investments, so I don't need money in my pocket. And it hit me. All this time, I've been playing a fool of myself. I've been pretending to have and not have. And there are those who don't pretend to have, and they have. And you can see that manifested all across black society, where black people will have the biggest television, the biggest house, they will have the newest trainers, they will have the latest phones, the best clothes. They will have all of this. And they would have paid little attention, if any, to developing the future. If any, to developing their children. They will have the best hairstyles, the best nails. They will have all of this. But their children will not know how to say please and thank you. And they themselves will eat a load of shit, a load of rubbish they will ingest, and still believe that because they have these outer frills, it represents wealth. Wealth is represented by caring for yourself and living in nature. That is what I consider wealth. Good health surpasses wealth every day. I'm reminded of the Godfather, Hyman Roth, and he says to Michael Corleone, he said, I would give anything if I could have a piss without being in so much pain. I would give all of my wealth if I could have a piss without being in so much pain. So your wealth really, and what you need to really think about is the humility of life. This is what's better anyway. Humility of life, learning from your experiences, learning to forgive yourself, which is paramount. You say, forgive yourself for what? There are things that you would see that weren't for your eyes. You forgive yourself for seeing it. You say to yourself, okay, like no one needs to see a person, say for instance, no one needs to see abuse. You don't need to see it. If it happened and you've seen it, then yes, you report it. Okay? But you don't go on YouTube looking for it, because it impacts the mind in a negative way. It causes the flow of different chemicals by the brain. Because when the brain sees things like that, the brain prepares you now for your defense. And it puts certain chemicals into your body which changes your mood. So you got to learn to forgive yourself. You got to learn to clear your mind so that that which you think about, you bring about, so that which you think about is something that is good for you and good for humanity at large. Before I stray from the point any further, what would I want to take? What would I want to learn from life? What would I want to take? My grandmother was a very wise woman. She was so calm. I swear to God, she was a monk. I really think she spent all her time in meditation, because I can't understand how she maintained such a constant thought pattern. And I would be an angry kid, and she would say to me, Philip, grievous words stir up anger. And I would like, man, you know what I'm saying? I want to be angry. And she'd say, heartstring, come here. She put me across her knees. I don't know how she get me across her knees because I'm upset, right? She'd rub my back. And I just calmed down. I'd be just so upset because I wanted to be angry. You see? But grandmothers have an immense amount of wisdom. And I think a lot of what I now know, a lot of what I now embrace, my grandmother told me when I was a child. I had to go through all of it, get through all of it. I had to go through all of it to become calm. And my grandmother was teaching me this from day one. That's amazing. Ponder on good thoughts. Ponder on positive thoughts. If you can't think of someone who has done you good, think of the trees. They've never done you ill. Think of, well, unless you're thinking about yellow dad or something like that, but even that has a benefit. Think of the animals, like my cat. See? Just calmly sitting there enjoying his life. No worry. Think of nice things and enjoy your day. Be inspired.